Welcome to video 1, where you are going to be a fear fighter. Now, if you'd asked me a few years back, what are you afraid of? I would have said spiders, going swimming and my hair extensions coming out. That's a valid fear, that's happened. Or something of that ilk. I wouldn't have really got my kind of finger on the pulse of what it is, because I didn't feel that I was scared of anything really. But the truth is, I was scared of a load of things because fear had become so deeply embedded, it just became part of who I was. Growing up, I had two kind of narratives, two stories. And one was, you're not good enough. And the other one was, people like you don't do things like this. And both of those kind of played out in such a way that they just became part of my thinking and feeling and being process. It got to the point where I'd make decisions based on the fact that I'm not good enough. I'd expect things to go wrong. I'd not volunteer for stuff because there's no point. People like me don't do things like that. And I started living a really kind of small, afraid life. When I was teaching, I was too afraid that I was so scared that people would find out about my past, my X Factor backstory, that I invented a brother. I pretended I had a brother called Tarquin because I thought it made me look more acceptable. And the best thing that could happen is that I could fool people into thinking I was acceptable. Not that I'd ever be accepted, but that I could fool people enough to think, oh yeah, she's okay. It's crazy when I talk about it now. But it was because I let fear drive my bus. Fear of what other people might think. Fear of what, basically it's that, yeah, what other people might think. Fear that I'm not enough. And I didn't really want to face it. So I made a decision, and it was a decision over time. And this decision would be that I would not let what had happened before, my story, my past, my experiences, I won't let any of those be a script for my future, for what happens next. And part of that meant that I had to show up as me and not be afraid or ashamed or scared or worried. I had to look for a job and say, yeah, I'm going to go to this interview and I believe that I can do it. And I'm going to say that. It was a long journey of tiny, tiny compromises. But it led to me becoming just 10% braver. What about you? What is it that is your biggest fear? What drives you or sometimes keeps you playing small or turning the volume down on yourself? Have a real think about this, because the first 2 or 3 things you think of might not be the real deep thing. It might be kind of a surface thing. But what we want to do through this challenge is reframe, reimagine and rewrite the stories that have been holding you back. So go deep. What I'm going to ask you to do every time is to write a promise to yourself, write a statement, a 10% braver statement on a bit of paper. Now, because I've got children and they are always buying stationery, I'm a bit bougie. I got post-it notes, but it doesn't have to be a post-it note, just a bit of paper. And what I want you to do is write down the promise to yourself and then take a picture. Now, you could take a picture just of the statement. Here's mine. I give myself permission to be my full fat self. Hashtag 10% braver. That bit's important. Or you could actually take a picture of yourself with it, if you're even braver. Or for bravest still, you could make a video explaining why your promise is your promise. So what are you going to gift to yourself? Where are you going to be braver? When you name the fears, what if I'm not good enough? People like me don't do things like this. When you say it out loud, it starts to feel a bit less scary than when it's inside. So find someone you know and trust, chat it over with them, and write your post-it note. I can't wait to see what it is. When you've got your answer, you can post it on social media, or you can go into the Facebook group and leave it there, and I will comment on everybody who posts a photo or a video. So I'll see you there.